Welcome, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of, yes, you got it, Hearts of Iron 4 with the Law Resistance DLC, and of course we're playing as the Soviet Union. Yes, you're Mikhail? Hello, how you doing? Sorry, not getting your name perfect, but yes, you're the first, but I'm still sort of blurry-eyed waking up here too. So yes, we are coming to the conclusion of this series, I have no doubt of. So we're going to, well, let's look at diplomacy here. We're going to ask for military access. They will accept, because we want to be able to get at the Nazis and defeat them. And let's look, even though we're getting towards the end here, let's look at some technologies that we might, yeah, that would be nice. And we can modify our government. We don't need a ship designer. Do we want a theorist? Well, I don't know. I don't know that we need army experience gain. Or land doctrine research. Don't know that we hardly need to do any of that. Okay, well, now that I think we're going to get... Oh no, don't abandon this for just yet. Oh, you. Well, thank you. There are a lot of forces stacked up there, way too much. Okay, this armored thrust has petered out a bit. Well, we could make Bulgaria a little bit more socialistic. So let's send some of the armor down there.
Так точно. Внимание. Так точно. Брось. Слушаю. Слушаю. Я готов. Я готов. Брось. Готов. Внимание. Готов. Готов выдвигаться.
See if you guys like marching through the hills much. Hello, IKB. Good to have you here today.
Выходим. До приказа. Выходим. Готов выдвигаться. Выходим. Внимание. Выходим. Внимание. Выходим. Готов.
So we'll get a lot of these guys down, hopefully usefully down here.
Слушаю. Выходим. Внимание. Выходим. Выходим.
Now just today,
Готов.
I found a photo
Выходим.
of the Soviets supposedly near Berlin in 1945. Why can't I move you over? I
Выходим.
guess he just doesn't want to move it that way. And whale sound noises.
Выходим.
Is it something from, I don't know, a little bit of the traffic outside or something? Are you hearing my voice generally speaking, or is there something else going on? Or is this the Russian?
Внимание. Выходим. Так точно. Выходим.
Might have been the traffic voice. Thank you, good to know. I always want audio feedback because I turn the audio off so not to get audio feedback. So I don't know how it's sounding. Why aren't you doing that? It's just not a good clear path forward.
Выходим. До приказа.
Hey, Toy Jet. Well, let's push here, I think. Okay, let's let this go. They've request for limited mail has been entered by Poland, and for some reason all of my conquered territory just went over to being Polish.
Внимание.
I don't know if that's because they accepted it or something else is going on. I don't know.
Так точно. Готов? Выходим. Выходим. Я готов. До приказа.
Yes, we are definitely moving into both Slovakia and what's left of Hungary
Так точно.
as quickly as I can.
Так точно.
I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well, Toy Jet. See if we can rush into there.
Я готов. Слушаю.
Okay, forces. Well,
Внимание.
looks like they have that opening, and we'll see if we can take out Bulgaria. We're
Готов
going
выдвигаться.
after its.
Выходим.
Okay, capital. Let's see if we can pin
Брось!
those divisions there.
Внимание!
Those 3 divisions there. Is it still warm up in your part of the world?
Мирно!
Not that it can ever really get terribly warm in Norway, but still.
Я готов! Слушаю! Жду приказа.
Hey, thanks for hosting, Arno.
Внимание! Внимание! Так точно! Я готов! Внимание! Так точно! Брось!
Uh-oh, the Japanese are here.
Я готов! Выходим! Я готов! Внимание! Мирно! Готов! Готов выдвигаться.
And thank you, AKB, for hosting. I do appreciate that. Is it not saying? Okay, now I'm gonna have to look over there at what's going on with YouTube. So I know I changed it. Now I don't know that the changes worked right. Because it should be YouTube's interface here isn't always working as desired. Live thing. Well, it says says US says that it's, I don't know why it's saying that it's not Hoi 4, because that's what it's saying for me. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Very warm in the UK. When do you want to record more? Sometime soonish. I don't know what your schedule is going to be. I don't necessarily want to do it today, but
Я готов.
when is a good time for you?
Жду приказа.
IKB, because we do need more of them.
Так точно. Брось!
We do want to continue the series.
Так точно. Жду приказа. Выходим!
Well, since we got Sophia, let's drive down there. Yeah, going to try that. more. We do have some of that. I'm just seeing what I can do there. Okay, we've defeated Hungary and got some of supplies. Actually, badly needed supplies, quite honestly. Okay, guys, you're...
Royce.
Now, you guys come this path, this... Hopefully least resistance.
Так точно. Смирно.
I am...
Слушаю.
Oh, we need to ask for... military access from Yugoslavia.
Смирно. Готов. Внимание. Выходим. Выходим.
Why has Germany not surrendered yet?
Жду приказа. Внимание. Выходим.
Poland is looking mighty big.
Готов. Готов. Выходим.
Because they're not French. Just decrypted our... Oh, okay, they're not decrypting our ciphers. That's a tragedy at this point.
Выходим. Так точно. Внимание. Выходим. Внимание. Я готов. Внимание. Так точно. Смирно. Готов. Так точно.
We just got Bulgaria.
Слушаю. Мирно. Слушаю. Готов. Я готов.
They need to be socialist too. Not well. Things are not well here.
Готов.
Not one little bit well. I quite honestly don't know how much I should talk about all of what's going on, how much people just want an escape
Внимание.
from the news,
Так
or
точно.
if they want to hear me go on about it. I don't know. I could spend hours talking about what's happening, but I don't know if it's a good idea or not.
Так точно. Выходим.
Oh, there. No, don't trust the news at all. How do I put this? They'll go to a things are still going on heavily, not as heavily as they were 5 weeks ago, but then riots are still going on. But they'll go to this mostly peaceful demonstration And in a sense, when they're saying that, and there's a burning building behind them, and it's mostly peaceful. There, let's say there's 4,000 people there. Well, yeah, only 400 of them may be committing violence or looting or burning or whatever. So, yeah, 90% of the people out there are being peaceful. But, so yeah, don't take it as being a situation like described by the media. They have their agendas, and some of their agendas, quite honestly, are just simply to make money. Some of them are political in nature, but there's both going on.
Готов выдвигаться. Слушаю. Внимание.
See if we can take out Romania. I guess Italy is still fighting just because they have so much of Africa.
Брось. Внимание. До приказа. Слушаю. Готов?
That's a fortified position, so we'll
Внимание.
see about bypassing it.
Брось. Слушаю. Внимание. Внимание.
Just in case any of you don't have it and you're interested in it, I noticed yesterday, I presume the sale is still going, but it may be over. I think it's going to be over soon. I noticed Hearts of Iron 3 was just on the Paradox website, just $2.50. And the sort of collection version of it, meaning all the DLCs, is like $7.50. So if you don't have it and are at all interested, you might want to get it.
Мирно. До приказа.
Okay, we just took out Legionary Romania, and we got some more useful equipment, not much. Yes, Summer Sale and Paradox. I know there's also stuff going on in Steam generally, but yeah.
Точно. Выходим. Я готов. Внимание. Выходим.
Yeah, they can move straight to there. These guys come down to here now. You push there, you guys push here.
Внимание. Брось. Внимание. Слушаю.
Come up to here. And you join this push.
Выходим. Выходим. Слушаю. Выходим. Выходим. По приказу. Выходим.
And all the Slovaks. They've been defeated.
Внимание! Выходим!
See one division there, still fighting on.
Я готов. Так точно. Внимание!
There we go. Guess they hadn't been fully defeated until just then. Well, let's push on to here, push on to Vienna.
Жду приказа. Готов?
I guess in theory moving up the Air Force would be good, but I don't know if it's hardly useful at this point.
Внимание! Так точно. Так точно.
Well, they sure got this Czech fort defense line going well.
Готов.
Let's push in around it here.
Так точно. Выходим.
Yeah, you're right. They're just divisions. Obviously, this is ridiculous. You know, sandbox, sandbox, sandbox. And I don't know about you guys, but this is one of the reasons why so many sort of core war gamers don't like, particularly Hoi 4, but Hearts of Iron to some degree in there. But this is ridiculous. This is effing ridiculous. And this is why people like Strategic Command and War Plan. Not that it is a better war game necessarily, but it's because it's more realistic. Because in no fathomable, okay, yeah, United States having this is just okay. That's fine because they're occupying it. That is, you know, they get control of the territory, as opposed to setting up the Kingdom of Italy as a co-belligerent power and setting up the Italian Social Republic, you know, if there was any territory still to be held. But the idea that Italy, you know, Mussolini has flown out to Cairo and is continuing, and the king and Mussolini have flown out to Cairo and are continuing the fight from Italy. That's just stupid ridiculous. Okay. That Vichy France is a thing is particularly after the conquest of, you know, North Africa. That would just simply collapse, even without Germany sort of shutting it down. There's just no way that Vichy France would be allowed to, or would even want to stay as a state, you know, as something that would be an independent political or even puppet state or whatever. So I don't know. What are you guys thinking about this? Glorious Switzerland. Yeah, Poland is thick. Yeah. See, this is why we need to host MP games, because people don't. Those people don't do scrap. Yes. Hey, Spiraling. Okay. If they're both on sale on Steam, I'm sort of afraid of sort of hurting one team's feelings over the other. I like War Plan better for several reasons. One of them is sort of combination of reasons, but they sort of combine together. Stacking. In War Plan, it is natural to combine fleets instead of having a destroyer chip, a battle cruiser chip, and a carrier chip or whatever. You just have the fleet. Now there's still a destroyer squadron and a battle cruiser and a battleship that you can all send off on different missions, or you can combine them in there. And then the stacking, you can stack one ground unit, one air unit, and a naval unit in the same, that would be in port, in the same hex. And Warplan does not use support units as a separate thing. What they do, instead of like having in Strategic Command, you have like an engineer chip or an artillery unit chip, where you can just add engineers to a particular corps. And you only add one sort of specialty addition to a corps. Which in Warplan, it's instead of specific engineers, it's a bridging unit. So if you want to move your panzers across the rivers, like in France or in Russia, faster, better, attack across them better, you just add that to a corps. You can only add one thing, one support unit to a corps, and cost a sort of outside extra points. Oh, I would recommend that very highly if you want a squad level, real-time, rather realistic tactical game. So at its thing, it's doing a really good job at it. I think the AI is pretty good. I know it's improved a bit. I haven't been playing it recently in its state, but it is pretty good. And so stacking is done better in Warplan than in Strategic Command. I don't know if the submarine war, meaning I haven't really had the Allies do. I mean, they have. I've gotten them too near, like too near Iceland with air power or whatever up there. I've lost some, but I think maybe. I don't know whether and it's improved over the version that I have, both the AI and some of the games that I've been playing, just because I've been going through it. But it just seems for Germany, the Battle of the Atlantic seems too easy. But so that may be done a little better in Strategic Command. The other thing with Strategic Command versus Warplan, to move things via railways in Strategic Command, you need to use your MPP, which are the same things to build units. Where in Warplan, each nation has a value. Major nations, it's 100. I don't think it goes much over that, but it goes every turn of 100 factors of units to be moved via rail in that turn. And say a corps is like 30 factors or something. So you can move 3 corps and a headquarters unit or something like that in one turn via railway. And so it's sort of a set value of rolling stock, and it doesn't and you can, it's just at every turn. So I like the rail movement better in Warplan. Now if you want this scale of a game right now, you need to go Strategic Command World at War. Basically the same theater between Strategic Command War in Europe and Warplan is the same, basically being Europe. So yeah, I would go with Warplan as the one I would pick. War in the East, I've enjoyed my playing of that. I've been playing mostly just the smaller scenarios to get sort of familiar with it. I still want to play a grand campaign, as it were, but not just to play it, but play it for the channel. So I really haven't taken the time yet, obviously, to play it, so hasn't happened yet. I like that game. War in the West, yeah, I don't have that one, but it looks good too. Same basic engine rules, whatnot, I believe, as war in the East.
Выходим! Готов! Так точно! Готов подвигаться. Готов!
Now, they're both good games, Strategic Command and War Plan. I don't want anybody to think I'm not saying they're good. I'm really enjoying. I mean, I have less problems with it, but still some minor ones. But I'm really enjoying Strategic Command World War I right now.
Готов!
I was playing it some yesterday.
Я готов!
I'll take out Romania.
Так точно! Готов!
U.S. got to the capital first. Bummer.
Внимание! Смирно! До приказа! До приказа! Выходим! Готов? Выходим!
One for Vienna.
Так точно! Готов выдвигаться! Так точно!
Yes, avoid the forts.
Готов выдвигаться!
Attack other places. Unmanaged, he just lost Vienna. Well, they now move the capital. Okay, well, we got Signals Company. Okay, well, we got some much needed artillery. What do we want to take? East Prussia. That actually did go to the Soviet Union. It still is Russian territory today. Do we want to take Moldavia? Can we take it? Keep it? Yeah, I guess we'll try this. Enter. You the demands during this turn. Remove demands if you want. You know, okay, enter. Can't take these demands. It would lower. Okay. No. Not giving me war score to. Okay. I mean, all I get to get out of it is the memo. Well, it's really a bit more down here that's still. Okay, can we now take. And here maybe no. The Soviet Union must expand. Bridge too far, okay. Pomeranian, no? You're not gonna let us do that? Nope, too much. Oh, this is getting as bad as some EU games. Hey, Tippet, yeah, it's just happened. Do we want Albania? No, we can't get that. Not gonna let us have any more fun territories? Oh, we can get that. Okay. No, not that we can't use some good border core. We could get just that. Okay. I'm just doing this to piss off anybody who's OCD enough that this triggers them. We never did declare war against Finland. Well, we can get some bits of Libya. Soviet Union was always trying to get more and more influence in Libya. Oh, no, not the last little bit, eh? Okay. No. Do we get Sicily? No. Calabria. No, let me have Calabria. Won't let me have Sardinia. What about Vichy France? We could use some socialist territory down here. No. Won't let me socialize France. France is natural for socialization. Oh, they want socialization. I know I'm just trying random things at this point, but maybe we pass. I don't know. Somalia. Oh, we can get some. Oh, they'll even give us Ethiopia. They're betraying Haile Selassie. What? Oh no, we got that even though it's still saying Italy, right? Okay. No, not letting me have that. No, we did not make it into Berlin. The Allies did from up here. They landed here and drove in and took Berlin. So our Yalta conference isn't yielding us huge amounts of Germany. Oh, come on. We want some nice Mediterranean. Well, I guess we got parts of Libya for some Mediterranean property. Yeah, that now. Nope. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, well. Where are we still here? Still clicked on. Okay, I guess we'll pass. Oh, good. Now we can get some. Yeah, we need our bits of Austria too. Okay. We need some territory for when World War III starts to be able to launch our reign of socialism. So we pass again if they'll let me have that. Yeah, we're good. Now we can get some of our Italy now. Yes. The border core, sure. Yeah, that's about what we're doing here. Pass. Oh, good. Get some more of Austria. That's nice. See if they'll let me. No. Maybe Sicily? No. Oh, good. Campania is now ours. Oh, somebody else grabbed that up. Okay. There we go. There we go. That's looking very spiffy. Okay. No, well, let us have Berlin. Oh, well. More of the Baltic coast. We got to see how many people we can get to live in darkness in socialism, misery, and oppression because they deserve it. Oh, good. So we will be able to launch our next campaign straight out into the North Sea from our base that we'll build there. Oh. Oh, good. Need the rest of Hungary? I don't know. I think we like leaving that there. It's just, so border gorish. So triggerable. There we go. Hanover. Ah. Yes. Yes. This is just like how it would have been. Let's pass. Let's see if we can get west. No. There we go. Yeah, let's see if we can get to the Rhine here. Nope, not yet. There we go. There we go. We'll be able to have our division set up to go straight into there we are. Well, that'd be great. There we go. I think we're done. This is gory enough, isn't it? In the United Kingdom, okay. Treaty, let's see. Okay. Well, there we go. There's West Germany. There's still the German Reich somehow. How is there still the German Reich? I don't know. I know maybe we could have taken this territory, but still. I wanted a Budapest and a Romania, I guess a Bulgaria to exist. There's still a France and a France. And what is this? Province of Savoy. American Southern France. So this is U.S. Southern France? Huh. What is this? Okay, Austria does exist. What's over here? The Republic of Slovenia. Oh, good. This is the United States. Ah. Hello, Night Sergeant Huntman. Unpause. Yeah, there should be some events. And hello, Danny K. Hey, Ari. Let's see if there are any events here. Okay, Switzerland joined the Allies. Hey, Lum's now in the Allies. Okay. Oh, the Olympics are happening now. Okay, they're canceling non-aggression pacts with us. 12th Olympia is held in Tokyo, Japan. Oh, well, Japan got the Olympics finally. They're all canceling their non-aggression pacts. Oh, let's save this. Save game. Yeah, they're canceling their non-aggression pacts with us. Are they all planning to jump me and go to war? Is that it? Well, well, we could do that one. We're still mighty behind on some. 18,000 on rifles. Still not producing nearly enough. So yeah, that's wackier than Kaiserreich. Yes, Hitler's hanging out in Dresden with Goering and crew. We've got some territories. Eritrea is independent, but the Kingdom of Libya exists way out here in the desert. Oh, and here, okay. Republic of Tunisia. What's this? What's this? Corsica. The Corsican Republic. Oh my. Oh my, oh my. Yep, they're doing that. How can... Seriously, how can people think this is a good thing? Unless they're just too deep down the EU hole and they want their games to... Do they just want EU 20th century? Is that what they really want to do? Paint the map whatever color? Is that what you all want to do? You live, you later on on YouTube? Post down below if this is what you like to see. Because it's not the game I want. I'm not saying it isn't fun to play. But yeah, Ari, and that's cool. But why the hell isn't the more rational thing the standard and this the mod or some DLC? That's my complaint. It's not, is there a player made mod that would correct something? It's how do you get to the point? Oh, it's sandbox. We don't want to restrict you too much. And I'm gathering, if I hadn't passed on the end, I could have taken these 3 territories or whatever. And end up with, a West Germany and a Soviet Union. And I could have maybe done something that released, the DDR, East Germany, or whatever you want to call it. But really... Oh, thank you for thinking it looks disgusting. Because it looks disgusting, so many levels. Now if we were trying to do the Treaty of Westphalia in whatever, 16 whatever. I don't know the year of that, but then this kind of thing works because this is what happened. This type of thing. But even the Soviet Union couldn't have gotten away with this. The idea that this is, Berlin or, north half of Germany or north third of Germany or whatever the hell is actually Soviet territory. And maybe they could have gotten away with it if the Soviets met the Western Allies along the River Rhine or something like that. Yeah, maybe, just maybe. But there's at some point they would see Soviet aggression as just something that needed to be fought. Saying Westphalia reminded me of that. Oh, is that? Yeah, I think I know which one. That sort of did come to my mind, and why, what to do with Luxembourg, I think is that, so it just, just trying to think, I would say 90%, literally 90% of the reason the U.S. dropped the atomic bombs, and they dropped them on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And they picked those two cities particularly because they had been unbombed before. They wanted to show what one bomb would do. And so they picked those cities because they were major cities. And they were, not just some... They didn't want to demonstrate it out in the middle of nowhere. They needed to demonstrate what it would do to the cities. and they wanted to do it to an untouched city. Also, they didn't. I haven't specifically heard why they didn't do Osaka. I don't think Osaka was majorly bombed. Osaka is the traditional capital of Japan, not Tokyo. Tokyo only, or Edo, as it was called, and I don't know if there's an official Edo is a smaller area here or whatever, but Edo sort of becomes the capital under the shoguns, and while still the imperial capital, where the emperor lived, was Osaka, or that sort of region there. And Tokyo or Edo, but Tokyo region becomes a major city under the Tokugawa shogunate, the last shoguns, multi-generation. Shoguns had been a sort of a warlord type term, but it's sort of national warlord or something like that. But multi-generational, they stabilized Germany, Japan, and constant sort of civil war, from low grade to out and out full on civil wars over who was going to be shogun for, I don't know, 100 plus years. But from what, around I don't know, 1600 or so, or 1650 or something like that, I don't know, through to 1860s, and when Commodore Perry shows up with the American fleet, which brings down the shogunate, sets that up, and only after sort of that time does the this is the administrative capital of Japan. This is sort of the cultural capital with the emperor. Does the emperor sort of move and build a palace or occupy a palace that's already there, or whatever? I don't know exactly. When they had bombed Tokyo, but they had specifically avoided bombing the imperial palace because they wanted to negotiate with the emperor. They did not want to kill the emperor. So 90% of the reason they dropped atomic bombs is to save primarily American lives. Trust me, the Americans weren't terribly interested in saving Japanese lives, though they were not. They tried so much on places like Okinawa, down here, to not harm the Japanese civilians. And the Japanese civilians committed mass suicide, stayed in bunkers that had soldiers in them that the soldiers were actively fighting out of, so they had to kill them. Boy, they tried not to kill the women and children, the old people, the whatever. They weren't trying to kill the civilians, but they weren't really worried about or trying hard to go out of their way not to either, meaning they weren't going to allow, there's civilians in that bunker, we're not going to put a flamethrower in it. No, there's still people shooting out of that bunker. They won't surrender. We're going to put flamethrowers in there, kind of thing. So they weren't going to die to save Japanese civilians. So mostly to save American lives. That's why they dropped the atomic bombs. The 10% reason was to show the Soviet Union was, hey, you better not push too hard on any of this stuff because we've got these nukes. Britain may be exhausted. France may be rebuilding and not able to go fight World War III or whatever. The U.S. is just fine. No, the people don't want to go to another major war. Absolutely. But if need be, we will. And the Soviets ended up, and we didn't know this, of course, knew more about our program than we thought they did. And the Soviets knew enough that it was real and that we were going to get more bombs and whatnot. And so the Soviets also bluffed back successfully against the Americans. But to make it, like, hey, we can start dropping bombs, whether on Moscow or any other major city, and you're not going to like going to war with us. We may not want to. There may be serious problems, but you're not going to like it. And so that was sort of, to keep this sort of from happening. Yes, after a while, they dropped the occupation zones. But first you have, and I'm trying to get at least the spirit of things. Somebody's talking about my apocryphal history talks. Well, I label this historical commentary because no, I'm not necessarily presenting detailed history correctly, but I am trying to get the tenor, the tone of what was going on. FDR thought he could finesse Stalin. FDR had a super high opinion of himself in that sort of viewpoint. Higher than reality, for sure. No, he was good at finessing things, no doubt. But internationally, you really get into the situation where Hitler really has his pulse on German politics. He does miserably on international diplomacy and international politics. Just doesn't understand them at all. Just doesn't. His worldview is very, very limited, very, very Germanic focused, and he gets that well. He understands that well. He doesn't understand this others well. FDR has a political history of finessing things in American politics, even before he's president. And he does that well. He is not as dictatorial as Wilson. Wilson is very dictatorial. Puts a lot more people in jail, abuses the Constitution a lot more. And oh boy, Wilson's a good guy because he's a progressive. Oh, he was very progressive, very racist, very progressive. FDR isn't very much racist. He is progressive. I don't know if he's as progressive as Wilson, but he finesses things more than the brute force of Wilson. But FDR, at least in my opinion, thanks 27tennis and thanks Danny, FDR doesn't do well in international politics or diplomacy, however you want to look at that, because those are two slightly different things. Diplomacy is dealing sort of, with other diplomatic governments' ways. Politics is sort of reading the political will of the peoples of other countries. What will they stand for? What can their leaders get their people to do, kind of thing, go along with. But either the politics or the diplomacy of international things. He doesn't do well when dealing with some nation with conflicting ideas, because he thinks he can finesse them, and he doesn't. And I'm particularly thinking of Japan. I do not believe FDR's policies were specifically driven to get the U.S. into the war with Japan. I do not believe that. That is the outcome of the policies. But I really think he thinks he can finesse Japan and get them to back off on China to some degree. And that's why he allows the American Volunteer Group to go in. He's doing all kinds of embargoes against Japan because he's trying to modify Japanese behavior through non-direct war. And he thinks he can do this. I can't see a single one iota of change in Japanese policies in the direction he wants them to go. I see everything that he does actually pushes Japan in the other direction. Now you can say, oh, that's just because he wants to have a war with Japan. No, I don't read FDR as that Machiavellian. I mean, he understands Machiavelli, I'm sure, but I just don't see him as that sort of twisted Machiavellian kind of thing. I think he's actually trying to get Japan to back off China, whatever that means. I don't know what it means. Obviously, at that point, it doesn't mean evacuating Manchuria. Obviously, Does it mean back off of some of the territories they've conquered and then put pressure on Chiang Kai-shek to sign a temporary peace? We'll use peace. It's going to be temporary. And you can build up your army, Chiang Kai-shek, build up your industry, get ready for round 2 or round 5 or round whatever. I think that's what he was thinking he was going to do. That does not happen. Where FDR can finesse things is when either he's dealing with somebody who more or less wants the same thing that he wants, Churchill, or the British just generally. They want his support in the war. He wants to support them. He might need to finesse things like Lend-Lease or cash and carry or other sort of programs, giving up bases, or just throw us a bone, just give us bases for weapons or something like that. Just give me something. And so they will, the British Empire is sort of swallowing its pride and giving the U.S. bases. And so, he can get that, he can finesse that, or dealing with people's, I'm sort of thinking of de Gaulle, which is he doesn't deal directly with, but and he picks the Americans pick other generals to sort of counteract him. Basically, powerless, dependent nations, and that's just because it's U.S. power, and they have to give. So Marxists and traders, yes. So yeah, I don't think he would have gotten he would have finessed Stalin as well as he thinks he would. Now Truman is a much blunter person, clearly a much blunter person, and he wants to avoid a war, but he's also, pushing for realistic solutions. So, and of course, he's the one that actually orders the bomb dropping on Japan, the atomic bombs. And he, after a point, takes over from the British in supplying the Greeks in their civil war that is heavily supplied by the Soviets on the other side, and drawing that line, saying that, we are doing dividing areas, entirely backs MacArthur, who he later, of course, has conflicts with, but entirely backs MacArthur in keeping the Soviets entirely out of Japan, because the Soviets they want their occupation zones too in Japan. Well, all they basically get is this, this part of the island up here that Japan still claims. I think they still officially claim it, that that they had taken over, and of course, Soviet actual territories that they occupy. Though after a while, the Soviets abandon Manchuria, and but leave all the Japanese equipment, which is huge amounts of equipment. This army up here, although is quickly overrun, is still there's lots and lots of equipment, and specifically turns it over to the communists. Without the massive Soviet aid of Japanese equipment to the communists, I don't think could have won in China. At least not nearly as fast as they did. And the Soviets particularly wanted to keep their direct fingerprints off of the aid to the communists. The Soviets do get an occupation zone, of course, in North Korea, but MacArthur and that's more the idea that for the South Korea is that the U.S. insists upon an occupation zone of their own, as opposed to letting this, because the Soviets are basically come in and occupied all this before the U.S. can get there. They get the Soviets to withdraw. And of course, keep the Soviets out of Japan. MacArthur does. So Truman backs that solidly. And backs the idea of the Soviets needing to leave Iran, because remember, they take over about a third of Iran and Britain takes over the other 2/3. That they must leave. Soviets must leave there. They really keep, although there is for a while a Soviet occupation zone in Austria, they get them to push that out eventually. And so it's because of the bomb, it's because Truman's standing up to him and basically saying to them, because, you know, especially if you look in sort of the 1950s, and I'm sure I'm wrong on some details, but the 1950s, Czechoslovakia isn't quite yet Soviet dominated. They have a lot of influence in the government. Definitely the Soviets have dominated the Polish government. But there's, you know, and Yugoslavia is looking a bit more, you know, independent. And so there's at least a fair amount of fiction going on that these other nations in here are sort of choosing their own destinies, and they're just choosing to go down the Soviet rabbit hole. But had the Soviets really pushed in, you know, whatever, Truman's going to say no. At least that's my reading. Hey, Marcel, or Fritz, or whatever. You won the majority of Europe and won the war. What's next? Well, I think this is over. I don't see this as being a, we'll save this, but as being a continuation here. Now, I have a thought of a different game for a while. I don't know if any of you are terribly interested in it. It's going to be a different change in subject entirely. But yeah, to me, this is just wacky. Well, Churchill was obsessed with the Balkans. Churchill is constantly obsessed with what he calls the soft underbelly of Europe. And Europe's underbelly is not soft for two reasons. And they're related to each other. One, the terrain. It's mountainous. It's rugged. Two, the lack of infrastructure to move rapidly over it. And the reason they have poor infrastructure to this day is, well, partially, of course, to this day is the Soviet occupation, but is the expense of trying to put modern infrastructure through the, you know, the rugged terrain. So they're related to each other. And Churchill, I don't know if it was Churchill, but one of these islands down here, the British come in and occupy, while the Germans still own Crete and still the Italians are still owning Rhodes. No, the U.S. gets Rhodes this time. How interesting. They come in, they successfully take over the island, you know, defeat the Germans, but the British just can't sustain it from Luftwaffe attacks, both on the island and, you know, and this is just like some destroyers dropping off 2,000 or 3,000 troops or something. This isn't a major invasion. You know, I think it's launched from Cyprus into one of these islands in here. I forget which one. And it, you know, the invasion part goes well. They defeat there, but it's just not sustainable from the available air attacks. So Churchill is pushing, or whoever the British are pushing, the into the region, but it's just not something that they're able to do without massive U.S. support, and the U.S. is just not interested. Again, FDR is not looking so much at the peace; he's looking at defeating there. And somehow we have Cambodian troops here in Europe. Yugoslavia did not the Warsaw Pact wanted to do with the British Rail. Okay, I don't entirely understand that sentence. IKB. Have you seen Romanian gals? I don't know if you're referring to women or whatnot, but don't know. Fellow gamer, looks like I'm coming a bit late for this, by the way. Is this the new BI? No, I have not played the new BIS mod. I am thinking of doing that next week. I'm going to try to keep an open mind about it. I do need to investigate to whether if they've changed because otherwise it'd just get me to rage quit again, and I don't play games just to rage quit on them. I don't. The penalties for invading the Soviet Union by Germany are just effing too harsh in my last playthrough with them. So I either they need to moderate them, or I need to figure out how to turn that off. And so that's the thing. And I can fix the trade range problem to deal with the Romanian oil for Germany. But I would like to try that. And that's, I think, next Saturday is the goal for that. So yeah. Soft underbelly. It's going to be Gallipoli all over again. And see, Churchill truly understands, because he is, when the Gallipoli thing happens, and then later on, before he becomes prime minister, he is, head of the Admiralty. He is the civilian head of the Admiralty. They don't have, at that time, I don't know what Britain's like today, but they don't have the Joint Chiefs of Staff that the U.S. has today is formed only after the U.S. goes to goes to war in World War II, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff is actually set up joint chiefing as much or more between like the head of the Navy, the Secretary of the Navy, and the head of the Admiralty, the British, and the U.S. Army and the British Army and all that stuff. But it also gets the U.S. to coordinate better, and that structure stays, the U.S. part of it stays after the war to this day. But Britain, the Admiralty, is distinctly different than the, what's the Army, the head of the Army called or whatever. But, and there's a civilian head there's like sort of an independent civilian head of the Admiralty or whatever. And that's Churchill doing. He understands amphibious warfare. And in the sense that, especially once you get, you can land along the coast. Britain can land along the coast effectively anywhere and do so quite well. Like I was just talking about the small island invasion, that was sort of a locally organized. Again, I don't know how much Churchill had involvement in either the planning or the giving permission to do so. It may have been entirely theater organized, and it was a relatively small affair. But Britain had the ability, its own amphibious warfare ability, to land, a division or so wherever it really wanted to, and would probably successfully get ashore and successfully secure a perimeter. But then, you get down here, you get down in Sparta area. That doesn't get you across the Corinth Canal, doesn't get you into Athens. Or you land and you take Athens. Okay, well, now you're facing the hills around Athens. You're sort of stuck there. So you can do any of that, but you're not going to be blitzing up through the Balkans. It's just not going to be happening. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Your screen's going to go black for a moment. The live stream is still going on. Just starting a new game here. Yes. Imperator. I've been playing a bunch of this game in the last week or so, and it is really improved over what it was when we first encountered it. We, as I presume anybody else who's played it. So I'm going to go grab a Coke, my first one of the day. Black screens matter. A good one. Good one. You can look at this pretty picture while I get a Coke, and I'll be back, and we'll talk a little bit about this and play some. We should stop